outside the garage with Gas Pump Rob. As you can see, I do not have a lineup of pumps this time outside to show you. So we are going to take a virtual road trip to visit Don Sherwood's Salesman Sample Collection in Shady Cove, Oregon. Back on the road with Gas Pump Rob. The miniature Salesman samples that you are about to see are exact duplicates of the original full-size pumps used in the early 1900s through about 1920. Before we look at this amazing Salesman sample collection, I have to mention one thing. I have pretty much lived my entire life in Southern California. My wife, her grandmother, and myself traveled to Oregon years ago, and being from Southern California, it was just breathtaking to see the greenery, the rivers, the lakes, and the beautiful surrounding mountains. We are outside Don's garage in Shady Cove, Oregon. Don, we would love it if you would give us a tour of your Salesman sample collection. A lot of us do not know much about these, and this will be very interesting.
Hi everyone, this is Don Sherwood in Shady Cove, Oregon, coming to you today with another special edition of Gas Pump Rob's Outside the Garage. Today's special edition is about Salesman samples, and I wanted to share a few of mine with you. What you're looking at here is a Salesman sample of a tire retreader, and here we have a Salesman sample of a kerosene dispenser. Most of these have all of the ones that I have all these little working parts that they crank, hand crank cranks, and they have little dispenser buckets on it to show the retail vendors when they were trying to display them and sell them to the retail stores. They could fill those little buckets and then dispense it back into the dispenser. Here we have a little, what appears to be a little tuna can, but it's actually a Salesman sample rocker can. I found this at the Long Beach Antique Swap Meet down in Southern California. Now that I have the lid off of it, I looked inside, and what I saw was a vent in there. So someone took the time when they made this to add the vent inside the can, so when you rocked it like a real rocker can, it would vent when it rolled over. It actually has the stop on the bottom so it wouldn't go back all that far, and when you turned it over it would pour, and you would hear the glub 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 of the air being vented out also. So it's a actual Salesman sample, not just some handmade thing that someone made up. I did put the little paper labels on the sides because there was nothing on there. It was just painted this little silver color. And then the carrying case that I have now removed the dispenser from. The cases were made by different companies. This one happened to be made by the G.E. McKinney Trunk Company of Chattanooga, Tennessee. But you could see where it fit right inside the case, well lined and everything. And it's, you know, outside of it is wrapped with leather. It has the cute little brass corners with the nickel plating and leather wrapped handles on it, all original. The dispenser itself is brass plated with the nickel plating on top of that. The mechanisms on here all move. working model made by the specialty stores in Pennsylvania, and it has the crank and everything on the side here that has the stops that will move and allow you to set it for a gallon, a quart, or half gallon. The crank on the side goes up and down, and when it does, I've filled this container full of kerosene, and you can see it pumping kerosene. Moving along, a couple more dispensers. Here's a little pump that, again, the handle would work, close, crank, lock. Here's another one that I was able to find in the original carrying case. It's just beautiful. The old leather is still intact. It's a little weathered, but you know, I'm sure you and I are probably going to look very similar when we're as old as this baby is. This is a very special one to me. This is from the Western oil pump company, and it was designed and painted to look like wood on the outside of this metal container, and it has pulleys and everything that would be exactly like it would be delivered to the store, so that they could put it inside and pump kerosene to their customers. A little screen in here so that it would be filtered as any excess would run back into the canister, you know, any overflow. And here is a little fact information sheet that I was able to find that would tell you a little bit about it. I say it's special to me. It's the only one I've ever seen, and it came from the estate of someone I would consider a good friend, which was Dick Bennett of Santa Paula, California. When he passed away, I was able to obtain a few of the items that were special to him. He also collected salesman samples. In fact, here is another one that he was able to add to his collection, which was one that would pump from a basement storage container. And I have an original full-size one that was made after copying this one, and I'm going to go inside with my camera now and take a picture of it to show you what it turned out looking like. But this is the salesman sample that basically would be taken out into the field by these representatives of the oil companies, and shown to them, and say, you know, told to the customers out there that they could have one very similar to this. They'd be able to pump from an enclosed container downstairs in the basement and service their customers with a barrel of kerosene that would be in the basement of their store. And here's a funeral card from Dick Bennett when he did pass away. Okay, continuing right along, this is Don, the old toy dock Sherwood in Southern Oregon. I wanted to show you the full-size pump with the manufacturer's Tokheim, and it's called the Dome pump. And you can find these on some of the online auctions, and even at some of the gasoline shows. This was designed to pump out of a barrel like in the basement of a store, and you could basically, it works off a vacuum. You would pump and pump until you got the fluid flowing up, and then you could drain that fluid into a canister that often the customer would provide, and then you would sell him, a quantity of kerosene or stove fuel of some kind that he would use, probably the lights in his house. And so that's basically how I wanted to end this little video, by showing you that this is a real one, and how it compares to the Salesman sample that I have in my collection. So thank you for joining me, and if you have any other questions and that I didn't answer along the way, which I'm sure there's plenty, you can get a hold of me through Gas Pump Rob's old outside the garage videos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Don, for taking the time to put together this informational video on Salesman samples. I had no idea so many Salesman samples even existed. I've seen maybe one or two over the years, but this is an incredible collection that you have, and we really appreciate you sharing it with all of us. Thank you very much.